G'day everybody, welcome to another Affinity photo tutorial. This week I'm going to create a picture using the impossible triangle. I've got my template here, which is 3 different layers. So as usual, let's get started. First picture I'm going to use is the picture of the island here, and I'm going to copy that picture with a Command C, bring it over to my impossible triangle and Command V. Make sure we're on our move tool and we'll just resize this. And let's drop the opacity so we can see what we're doing here. And I'm just going to place my island in the spot where I want it to be. Okay, once you have placed your island exactly where you want it to be on the impossible triangle, we can come down here to our the red part, the red layer here, and we can come up to select and selection from layer, which will give us a selection of our red layer here. Okay, let's grab our selection brush tool. Now we can add to our selection. Make sure we've got add on up here and make sure that we're on the background layer here. It must be clicked on this background layer here, and now we can add the parts of the island that we want to add. So I'm going to add some of these parts all the way around the coast here. Once you've got your selection, we can bring the opacity on the island layer all the way up again, all the way to 100. And on our island layer, we can come down here to where our masks are and we can add a mask. And you'll see it's just given us the top of that island layer. So let's get rid of our marching ants with Escape or Command D. And at this point, I'm just going to highlight all my layers here and come over here to my move tool, and I want to move my triangle over to the edge, just right on the edge here. You'll see that we still got some of the other picture coming through here. That's okay, we can just click on our island layer, come over here to our rectangular marquee tool. We can just take care of that and hit delete. Get rid of those marching ants. Okay, we're ready to bring over our next picture, but first you can still see some of the red coming through here on our picture. So let's turn off that red triangle or red layer. We don't need that red layer anymore. Let's bring over our next picture now, which is going to be the picture of our granite here. Again, I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm just going to take the section of the granite that I want to use. It's just this section here, and I'm going to copy that section with a Command C. Bring it over to my triangle and Command V. Once again on my move tool, I'm just going to resize that granite and turn it around. I'm going to hold my shift key down just so it snaps into place. I want the darker part of the granite at the bottom here. So let's put that in place here. Let's duplicate the granite with a Command J and turn off the top one for now. Make sure we're clicked on this second one here. I'm going to clip it to the grey part of the triangle, the grey layer. So I'm going to drag it down to the grey layer and then to the right and just clip that in. You can see that it's just clipped into that layer, the grey layer. It's going to stretch that out all the way over and stretch that down just so it covers that whole grey layer there. Okay, we can turn on our other piece of granite here, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to clip it to the black layer down here. So drag down and to the right, flip it to the black layer. And again, I'm just going to stretch that out. So it covers all of that black layer. While I've got this layer here, I'm going to add a levels to this one. So just click down here on adjustments and hit levels and clip that levels layer to that granite layer. On here, I'm going to bring the output white all the way down to 30. And the black level here to 30 as well. Just 30 is good. That's going to make that quite dark, but that's okay. While we've got our levels, let's duplicate our levels and drag one up to the grey layer granite. So we'll just go where the grey layer granite is and to the right again. This one, we're going to turn the black all the way down and we'll bring the output white to about 80. So let's take that to 80 and that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're all set with our triangle here. So we're going to come back to the island layer all the way up the top here and click on the mask. Going to come over here to our paintbrush and make sure we're on a really soft brush. And with our colors, we want to be painting in white. I'm going to have my flow at about 15% on this one and make my brush a little bit smaller. And I'm going to come down here first to the rocks down here. And I'm going to start painting some of these rocks back in down the side here, just to make that look a little bit better. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to do the same up here as well. Make sure we're on our mask, make sure we're painting in white. And I'm just going to do it sort of fairly roughly like jagged. So just jagged down here. Okay, making my brush a little bit bigger. It's going to make one pass along this edge here, just bring out a little bit of green along that edge there. And that looks pretty good. Okay, we're ready to bring over our background layer. I'm going to use this picture here. So again, I'm just going to copy it with a Command C and Command V. Let's make sure on our move tool and we can resize this picture. While we've got this picture here at the moment, I'm going to take my rectangular marquee tool and I'm going to make a copy of this section here. So I'm just going to drag out a square here and I'm going to make a copy with a Command J. It's going to turn that off for now. Come back to the background picture. Let's get rid of those marching ants. And now we can resize our picture. I'm not going to use the lighthouse in my picture, so I'm just going to drag that up out the way and then resize my picture. And move that lighthouse just out of the picture there. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So let's grab that picture of our background here and drag it all the way down to the bottom. Let's go all the way down here. Put that as our background. So I'm going to turn this layer on here that we copied with our Command J earlier. I'm just going to turn that layer back on. I'm over here to my move tool. I'm just going to move this in place and I'm going to use this layer along the edge here. I'm just maneuvering that in place along the edge. You can also turn the opacity down a little bit so you can see where you're going on that edge there. I want that with those waves right on the edge. Looks pretty good. So I'm going to put a mask on that layer, making sure I come back to my brush, really low flow, about 10%, and we're going to be painting in black this time, and we're just going to get rid of that line. Turn that back up to 100%, see where we're at. Not looking too bad, just a little bit more to get rid of here on the corner there. Okay, once you feel like you've got that blended in okay, that's looking pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is just down here on this side, so this is the grey side here. I'm going to add a mask on that grey side, and again, just with my brush here, still painting in black. Just going to add some of that water around the side here. And I want to add some of these little wave caps here. So what I'm going to do is right on the top here, I'm going to add a new pixel layer. And I'm going to use my clone brush. So just my clone brush here. Make sure this little box here says current layer and below. So we've got current layer and below. And just with my option key, I'm just going to pick these little white caps and click on here, make a selection. And I'm going to add these little white caps just to the bottom here. So make my brush a little bit bigger. We'll take a bigger selection. Just adding some of that white down the bottom there makes it look a little bit better, and maybe some of this little whitewash down here. There we go, that's not looking too bad. So let's collapse all these little boxes here that we've got, make it just one. So the next thing we're going to do is add the LUT that I created. So let's come down here to adjustments, down here to LUT, and load LUT. Now the LUT that I created is called, I've just called it Moody Blue. So let's grab that LUT and open it up, and it's going to put like a blue, sort of really moody blue on here. So I'm going to drop it down to about 50%. So let's have a look at that before and after. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is come down to adjustments and add a brightness and contrast. I'm going to turn the brightness all the way up, then I'm going to invert it with a Command I. Again, I'm going to click on my paintbrush. Make sure this one is a nice soft brush. The flow on this one is going to only be about 3 or 4%. So let's go 4%, make my brush a little bit smaller. Make sure I'm painting in white. Just going to add some highlights just to my cliff here. Bit on the grass here. Some on the rock down here, this rock face. Just some little highlights. Get a little bit brighter. And maybe a little bit down here. Some on these rocks here. And maybe a little bit down the front here. Just drag that little highlight down. All the way down, and let's have a look before and after. It looks a little bit better. I'm going to add another pixel layer right on top, still on my brush, but this time I want my brush to be quite a hard brown brush. That one there. On this new layer, I want the blend mode to be overlay. I'm going to zoom all the way in right on the edge of my cliff here. A very small brush. Bring my flow and hardness up. They can both be 100%, and I'm going to draw my white line just around these little edges here, just to give them a little bit of depth. All the way up here, that white line, and I'm going to drop the opacity on that all the way down to about 30. To give that a little bit of depth there. It's very subtle. Command 0 back to get our picture to normal size. Okay, one of the last things, I might add some clarity down here on our live filters. Make sure that is right on top, and maybe just pump that up to about 60. So there you go, everybody. That's my tutorial for this week using the impossible triangle. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I upload my next video. If you'd like to support my channel, head over to the Buy Me a Coffee site. The link will be below. While you're there, you can grab the free template for the impossible triangle, and also you can grab the free LUT, my moody blue LUT that I've used for this picture as well. That will also be available on the Buy Me a Coffee site absolutely free. So until next time, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you in my next video.